Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp as we once again have a look at some of the games coming out for the Switch in this upcoming week. In terms of dates, we're going from the 24th of May up until the 30th. First looking at any games that may have crept out without being in one of these videos, and then moving on to that week at hand. So which games are coming out for the Switch this week? Well, let's find out. So first, a couple of games that are already out then, the first of those being Alruna and the Necro-Industrialists. It says Alruna is a dryad in a dying world, a spirit of life in the land of the dead. It's got a really nice art style, goes with pixel art but in a way that just wouldn't have been possible back in the day. Some of the details in the backgrounds are quite beautiful, to be fair. I don't know if the trailer will show it, but some of the screenshots is a shot of a boss in particular where the background just looks lovely. It looks to be a platform game where you move from screen to screen, with you having a number of different powers to aid you on your quest. £10.99 this one, if you are interested, and it is out now, as I mentioned. The other game that's already out is Mostroscopy, if I've pronounced that right, that is of course. This one promises monsters, masks and mayhem, and is a retro-style brawler inspired by 1950s Mexican lucha and monsters. It goes on to say that it takes up the aesthetics of the horror and luchador films of Mexican cinema from the 1950s with an eclectic roster of monsters and masked luchadors and a simple gameplay style with a retro presentation. That's all it does say, but it's certainly got a striking art style. It has the look of like a Roy Lichtenstein painting, with that dot shading technique and some cross-hatching on there as well. Very interesting looking game for sure. How in-depth it is in terms of its fighting and how many buttons it uses, etc. I'm not sure, it doesn't tell you in the blurb. But at £10.79, or your regional equivalent, possibly one to keep half an eye on. Moving on to this week then, and the first game releasing is Cattle Country. The blurb here states that Cattle Country straddles the saddle of cozy, wholesome gaming and action adventure. You'll need to make a home in the mountains, taking on bandits, discovering dastardly plots, building a farm, developing your town, and making friends with the local residents. You need to get to know the townsfolk, hearing their stories and helping them out, but there are some shady characters with nefarious plots, and you'll need to protect your homestead and your community. Sounds like a very interesting mix of traditional farm life sim, but with a Wild West spin on it. And there is a demo available for this one, so give that a download and have a play of that to see what it's all about before it releases on the 27th for £19.99 or your regional equivalent.
But watch your back. Not everyone around these parts is as sweet as Patty's peach pie. Keep an eye out. I've heard there are bandits lurking on the trail. I reckon they've caught wind. Next is Pipistrello and the Cursed Yoyo. This is a 2D top-down platforming adventure where it says you'll be exploring a vast urban landscape, facing off against enemies using the weapon you know best, your prized yo-yo. Each yo-yo trick you learn will drastically change the way you look at the cityscape and the battlefield, and by chaining moves together you'll be able to explore secret areas and teach those baddies a lesson. It says you'll explore the city's 4 districts with over 1,000 screens of challenges and secrets, infiltrate the businesses of the 4 crime bosses, navigating their labyrinth-style buildings, learn yo-yo tricks as I mentioned, and techniques to create your own cityscape yo-yo parkour routes, and collect over 40 ability-enhancing badges that alter the way you play. I've always enjoyed 2D, like top-down adventure games. Obviously, you know, your ones like Zelda speak for themselves, but I remember going all the way back to things like Mission Impossible on the NES, and that was a Mission Impossible playing that game. But yeah, something about this type of game has always intrigued me. This is another one that has a demo, so again, do give that a download and give it a try. This one's out on the 28th, and it will cost £17.99 or your regional equivalent. We then have Advanced VG Saturn Tribute. So VG is a fighting game series that first released for the PC in 1993 and was based around the concept of waitress fighters. This is based on the 1997 home console release, the Saturn release I'm sure, and has additional new features that have been added. So it says the heroines, dressed in stylish uniforms, unleash a variety of attacks including strikes, throws and projectile moves. You have your normal mode, where players enter a tournament with their favourite character. There is a story mode included, and a versus mode as well. And this Saturn Tribute edition enhances the experience with new features such as a rewind function,
saving and loading, and a one-button super move system. I'll be honest, this is not a series I've ever heard of at all, so quite an interesting one to look into. I'm sure I do like my fighting games. It's out on the 28th, £13.49, but you can get 10% off of that price up until launch day. We then have Welcome to Empyreum, which is a cooperative party game for up to 4 players, set in a hotel. So it takes place in Hotel Empyreum then, an enchanted place that takes away what each person wants the most. To recover it, you must work there, floor by floor, until reaching the office of the director, taking on a number of different jobs, such as vacuuming, taking care of alien babies, running away from ghosts, fumigating carnivorous plants, or feeding jelly to gummy bears, and the more you cooperate, the better you'll do. You can play the game singularly as well. I'm assuming it's one that's more fun and perhaps easier to play in multiplayer. As I mentioned, you can play it with up to 4 players. Looks quite wacky, I guess. You know, you always mention games like Overcooked at this point, with that cooperative / slightly competitive gameplay. But this one releases on the 29th and it will sell for £16.99.
But working isn't everything. You can always take a break in our reception. Chat to the guests, visit the bar, and gossip with the barman. Who knows?
Then it's Shikhondo Youkai Rampage. This is a vertical shoot 'em up, and it says that the game features a unique system called Soul Collect, where players can charge their soul gauge as they avoid enemy bullets. It's perilous, it says, but the closer players stray to bullets, the faster their gauges charge. I mean, it sounds like the grey system that you found in games before, but there are a number of different game modes as well, including the main arcade mode, there's a boss rush mode, or a single hit hardcore mode. It says it also features a new duel mode, a strategic single player mode that allows switching between the 2 protagonists to match the circumstances that you face. There was another game, Shikhondo Soul Eater, that was on the eShop before that's not on there anymore, so I'm guessing this is an enhanced version of that game as opposed to a sequel. I'm not definite on that though. If you know more about it than me and can shed any light on that, then please do put it in the comment section below. This one's out on the 29th though, and it will cost £22.49 or your regional equivalent. The penultimate game for the week is FUGA Melodies of Steel 3. So judging by the blurb, this is the 3rd and final part in the FUGA Melodies of Steel series. And it's a series that we've reviewed both parts of so far. They're games where you basically play as a group of children that are living in this tank in like a war-torn world. And it says here in this 3rd part, the children are led by a mysterious voice into the forbidden cave where they discover the Tyrannus, the powerful tank fought lost in the Sea of Clouds. The battle system has undergone substantial changes. Weakness combos allow you to exploit enemy weaknesses and deal escalating damage with every hit, and assist attacks allow erstwhile enemies and a legendary warrior from past games to join forces and turn the tide of battle. It does make a point of saying it's not necessary to have played the previous 2 games to enjoy this 3rd entry, so I guess they'll wrap up the story, or sum up the story rather, before the action begins. But it's a good series, and one that's quite emotional at times in terms of decisions you have to make and friendships you have to build between your characters. This is also out on the 29th and it will cost £35.99.
Never before. Dive into thrilling and tactical battles. A child stands ready to perish by the soul cannon.
And the final game for the week then is Pinball Spire. The blurb here says that action adventure will meet pinball in this one-of-a-kind Pinballvania adventure. Conquer the titular spire as a brave, plucky little pinball called Pip, destined to step into the plunger and explore the inner chambers of a mysterious spire that appeared in their world overnight. It promises elaborate pinball levels to explore, combining traditional pinball tables with atmospheric dungeons. Mana-powered pinball abilities enable unorthodox ways to interact with the environment, and it's a fusion of arcade pinball mechanics with platforming, puzzles and exploration. Really like the sound of this. Whether it will work in practice is another matter. There was a game before that kind of mixed action adventure with pinballing. That was called Yoku's Island Express and actually worked pretty well, so I'm intrigued to see how this one pulls it off. It's out on the 29th for £11.99, but you can get 10% off that price up until the 12th of June. So there you have it, another week of Nintendo Switch releases. Do any of those games interest you? Will you be picking any of them up? Please do let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget, if you're looking for eShop credit to do just that, you can use our website, SwitchUp.gg, to get your eShop cards, and doing so will get you 5% of your purchase price back as cashback. And there are links down there to places such as Play Asia. I know the FUGA games, for example, that I mentioned a minute ago, the third one, they are exclusive physically to Asian regions. So if you want to pick anything like that up, do use our link and code and you'll get yourself 5% off of your purchase price from there. A thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.